Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Prior to our regularly scheduled council meeting, we are going to conduct a very brief hearing for the Community Development Block Grant. So Mary Jo, will you call the roll for the public hearing, please?
Ron Van Kirk.
Here.
Colin Gallagher.
Here.
Katie Gallagher.
Here.
Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Tom Murphy.
Here.
Kathy Pucci.
Here.
Tony DeMarco.
Here.
Okay, and if Ms. Ludwig would please come to the podium, and she's going to explain our projects.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant. The City of Brooklyn is one of 51 Cuyahoga urban communities eligible to apply for grant funding for fiscal year 2013 from the Cuyahoga County Department of Development. These federal funds are issued through HUD, and the City of Brooklyn is eligible for up to $150,000 in grant funding. These funds are aimed at promoting innovative development activities. Eligible activities include infrastructure improvements, construction or installation, including but not limited to streets, curbs, water and sewer lines, neighborhood facilities, including but not limited to public schools, libraries, recreational facilities, parks and playgrounds, and facilities for people with special needs, such as homeless or domestic violence shelters, nursing homes, or group homes for the disabled. The eligible activities must meet the national objectives of either benefiting low to moderate income persons or to aid in the elimination of blight. The county provides the City of Brooklyn with a map that indicates those areas that are considered low to moderate income, as well as the improvement target areas in our community. The county is still using the 2000 census data due to the fact that HUD has not released the 2010 census numbers to the Department of Development. 5 census blocks in the City of Brooklyn have a percentage of low and moderate income households that are at or above the 40.2% threshold set by the Department of Housing and Development. These areas qualify for CDBG funding. The City of Brooklyn as a whole is 43.9% low to moderate income. The projects the administration feels are best suited for these funds are to upgrade the city's parks and recreational facilities. The handout features a resurfacing project of the Veterans Memorial Park basketball courts, installing playground equipment at the Veterans Memorial Municipal Park, and installing playground equipment at the John E. Fry Park located behind the Recreation and Auditorium Complex. The project will cost approximately $150,000, and the city's contributions will be $3,019. These upgrades and additions, along with ADA compliancy, will benefit the entire community and meet goal number 1 of the Cuyahoga County Consolidated Plan, which is to create a suitable living environment. These improvements will provide safe conditions to our parks and playgrounds. This competitive grant is due by Friday, March 29, 2013. The grant award announcements will be made at the beginning of May, with the project to be completed September 30th, 2013. Typically, this type of grant follows an 18-month timeline. However, for this funding cycle is allocated to only 5 months. A resolution authorizing the grant application will be presented at the March 25th City Council meeting. We are always open to suggestions for future community development grant ideas and are interested in hearing your comments pertaining to this grant. People may contact me at 216-635-4220 or at jludwig@brooklynohio.gov or in writing to Brooklyn City Hall, 7619 Memphis Avenue. I would also like to acknowledge and offer a big thank you to Fran Migliorino, Maria McGinty, and Jenny Essery for providing their knowledge, efforts, and assistance as we try to obtain this grant. The City of Brooklyn has been successful in obtaining grant funding over the past several years for projects that have benefited the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any council members have any comments or questions that they'd like to make? Okay, is there anyone in the public that has any questions or comments about the proposed project? Okay, if not, we need a motion to adjourn
Thank
the
you.
Community Development Block Grant hearing.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
To adjourn, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay, we'll call the regular council meeting to order. Mary Jo, will you call the roll, please?
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Here.
Tony DeMarco.
Here.
Okay, and will everyone please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item is approval of the minutes from the February 25th, 2013 meeting. We need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
To approve, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay, next we'll have our public session. If anyone has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please observe our 5-minute time limit.
Good evening. I'm Cynthia Walker, the school superintendent of the Brooklyn City Schools, and I thank you for allowing me to speak to the council and to the mayor. I would like to say welcome to everybody that's here and invite any of you to call me directly if you would like information on supporting our May 7th bond and levy issue. We are looking for the community of Brooklyn to rally around the Brooklyn City Schools and determine once and for all that we need to make some needed changes to the capital projects at the school. In addition to the economic times that we have all faced, we know that we are looking for money in a very tough time. I am here tonight to stand for the school district and for the Board of Education and to invite anybody to become better informed about what's happening in the schools and to understand the need. Certainly anybody that has seen the middle school or graduated from the middle school, what is now the middle school that was built in the 20s, knows that it is not the educational space that it should be, and that we need to determine that really the schools are the heart of the city. This is a time that we need to rally around and move forward with what's happening with the schools. We have dedicated teachers and classified staff, dedicated administrators, and tonight I'm just asking and inviting anybody to call me at 216-485-8110 if they have questions about the levy or the bond. And I also want to thank the mayor immensely for our conversation today where he fully endorses the May 7th bond levy issue. So we certainly appreciate thus far that Councilmember DeMarco and Mayor Balbier are with us, and any other members of City Council that would like to have any further questions would feel free to call me or to meet with me or with Marty Farian. So I want to thank you, Mayor, very much for your support. It means a lot in this community.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Alexandria Badza, and I live at 8989 Trail Run, Brooklyn, Ohio. I am a current 8th grade student at Brooklyn High School. I would like to share my thoughts with you regarding the bond levy. This levy means a lot to me and approximately 1,400 students in Brooklyn. If the levy passes, we will have one campus with additional improvements to our school facilities that will greatly enhance our learning experience and our city. This new campus will give the students proper space for class size, improved technology, security and safety systems, and proper handicap accessibility. I see a live campus that will have activity all day and evening for students and residents. Non-residents will notice our community and may even want to move here. Most of all, it will bring us hope for our future. If the levy does not pass, there will be immediate cuts starting next school year. There will be a reduction in all sports and practicals such as band, chorale, art, foreign language, theater, computers, physical education, family and consumer science, engineering, and more. In order to get into college, you must take certain practicals or else you will have to pay more money and take additional classes in college for not meeting the college standards. Some students rely on sports and practicals to get them scholarships. This past weekend, there was a spring musical. It involved over 100 students that put many hours of hard work to share their talents with the school and community. If the levy does not pass, there will be no plays and many will be disappointed. Many teachers will lose their jobs and there would be only 4 core classes: math, science, social studies, and English. The school day will be shortened and students will be released immediately with no lunch. School is our life. Just like an adult has a job or career. Field trips will also be cut. On May 8th, the 8th graders are going to Washington, D.C. If the levy does not pass, this might be the last year the 8th graders go to Washington, D.C. The same would happen for the 5th graders that are going to Greenfield and the 6th graders that are going to Mohegan. These trips provide us with additional knowledge and experience. Remember your high school years when you got to participate in extracurricular activities? Imagine if you were not able to participate in any extracurricular activities. School would not be very exciting. I can't imagine school like this. The middle school is 91 years old. It has seen better days and needs to be updated. Recently, the middle school was elected as a cool school by Fox 8. However, Fox 8 mentioned that the school was old. Also, in the summertime, Brooklyn Day Camp uses Brookridge to run their camp. Many residents and non-residents rely on this program. If the levy does not pass, the city will have to find another place for camp or discontinue Brooklyn Day Camp. So if Cleveland can pass their levy, why can't we? We are at school for 7 hours, 5 days a week, for 9.5 months, so we need a safe, functioning school with more access to technology to prepare us for the future. It is very unfortunate we don't have a say in our future because we're not eligible to vote. We rely on you to choose our future. The daily cost of the levy is 77 cents and less for senior citizens. That is less than a cup of coffee a day. We are the future. Don't you think we're worth an additional 77 cents a day? To learn more about the levy, please visit www.brooklynsschoollevy.org. Call the Brooklyn Board of Education at 216-485-8100, or there are flyers available on the table outside council chambers. On May 7th, vote yes to save our schools, and remember, your vote will affect our futures. Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
Hello, my name is Marissa Hahn, and I am a junior at Brooklyn High School. The other day, I was approached by our band director, Mr. Sullivan, to say a few words about what the music program in our school district has done for me. I wasn't quite sure where to begin because my life revolves around our music program, but I thought I should start with the early years rather than the present. Some of my most prominent memories about elementary school are related to music class. It was the time of day when I got to do something I really loved. Whether it was learning how to act out songs with Mr. Ross or bouncing the ball to the beat of a song with Mr. Keller, music class was always filled with laughter and bonding. Then, in 4th grade, I had to make a very important decision. What instrument should I play in 5th grade? I was so excited that I finally got to be in band. Sure, singing was nice, but since I was little, I really wanted to be in the band. After many long hours of contemplating and trying out different instruments, I chose the trumpet. That was probably one of the best decisions I have ever made. The first day I got my trumpet, I sat in my room and played it for hours, and I'm sure I drove my parents crazy. I immediately signed up for private lessons, and that's where the hard work began. Throughout middle school, I made many friends through band, and the music was, and still is, my stress relief. In 7th grade, I was asked to join the pit band for the high school drama club's production of Seussical, and I had to become the best that I could be. In 8th grade, I was asked to join jazz band, and that was an entirely new challenge, but I loved every second of it. Throughout high school, I have participated in the marching band, concert band, jazz band, pit band, the Cleveland Youth Wind Symphony, Kent State Honors Band, and the Pac-10 Honors Band. This year, I was casted as the narrator in our spring musical, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. If you didn't get the chance to see it, ask someone who did. I'm sure they'll tell you that the cast, pit band, and stage crew all did a remarkable job to make the production fantastic. I've decided to major in music therapy, which will require that I audition for the music program at the schools of my choice, and each school will take a long, good look at my musical resume for scholarship opportunities, which I am relying on to go to college. My chances of getting scholarships will be greatly diminished if our music program is cut. Since I found out about the severity of the levy, there's been a lot of fear living in the back of my mind constantly, and too often it comes to the forefront of my thoughts and I become very stressed. I fear because it's not fair that my college dreams may be crushed just because not enough people will be willing to vote yes. I fear because I don't know what on earth I'll do next year, my senior year, without all of these programs in my life. There is also fear for my teachers. I couldn't bear watching Mr. Sullivan, Mrs. Cipriani, Mr. Keller, and other music teachers, all of whom are role models to me, lose their jobs. They all work so hard to make the Brooklyn City Schools a creative musical place. And lastly, I live with the fear that my niece and nephew, who also attend Brooklyn schools, will not have the same opportunities I've had in the music department that have shaped the person that I am. Being involved with the music department has taught me so much, not only musically, but morally and socially as well. It's an experience I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Sure, sometimes I complain about petty things, but when it comes down to it, there's not a single bad thing I could say about our music department, and I know I'm not alone. I will be crushed, along with many others, if this levy doesn't pass, because it'll be taking away the biggest part of my life and what I look forward to the most every school year. Please make sure we keep the pride of Brooklyn alive, not only for myself, but for the future generations. For your kids, your grandkids, and your great-grandkids. Keep our music thriving. Thank you for listening and have a good evening.
Hello, my name is Michael Bindus, and I'm currently a senior at Brooklyn High School. I'm involved in many activities such as National Honor Society, varsity basketball, and varsity soccer. However, the activities that I'm involved with that I feel have been the most instrumental to my education are those associated with the Brooklyn Music Department. I am currently the president of the band and have been a member of the high school wind ensemble, a member of the marching band, as well as being involved in the extracurricular bands such as the jazz ensemble and pit orchestra. Without our music department at Brooklyn, I would not have been able to be involved in any activities which brought music into my life. Music has helped me achieve a work ethic that cannot be taught in any other organization offered at Brooklyn High School. The music department has also been able to send our students to compete in both solo and ensemble competitions set up by the Ohio Music Education Association, and allowed the jazz band ensemble to participate in various jazz festivals where professional musicians critique and give constructive criticism that opens our eyes to the whole world of music. I was also able to be involved in the Brooklyn Music Drama Club's production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which was put on this past weekend, as well as the previous 5 productions by participating in the pit band. These productions are made possible by the support of the arts and music we currently have at Brooklyn High School, which most schools of our size are unable to produce. Every year, the musical is the highlight of the year for myself and every other member of the drama club, which I'm sure 100% of them would agree. With my music education from Brooklyn High School, I was given the skills to compete for music scholarships at both the University of Mount Union and Ashland University, where it is possible to reduce the price of tuition and help make my college experience more affordable. I have been given tools for success through the music department, and more specifically the bands, yet there are currently threats to drop the entire department from Brooklyn High School. I was given many opportunities by the music department that have helped me to adapt in high school, helped me increase my passion for music, helped secure my future, whether short-term in receiving scholarships, or then long-term helping me succeed in college and my future occupation. I would give anything to see this department continue at the high school for future students to receive equal, if not greater, opportunities than I have acquired in my time, and to continue producing successful students through this awesome yet rare program which is provided to students in Brooklyn. However, this department, as well as all of the arts, can only be continued through the support of the city of Brooklyn, along with its residents in voting yes for crucial issues such as the Brooklyn City school levy and bond issue that will determine our future of the schools. Lastly, I hope the previous support that has been in Brooklyn continues, so all of the current and future students will be able to receive the benefits from the community that I have. Thank you.
Hello and good evening. My name is Kyle Houston. I am a 10th grade student at Brooklyn High School. I am a participant in the marching band, concert band, pit orchestra, jazz ensemble, and was involved in OMEA state competition this past February. I thoroughly enjoy all these opportunities I get as a young high school student, for this experience will pay off in the future as a jumpstart in becoming a musician. If this levy doesn't pass, then I won't have the opportunity to experience these things again. A destructive ripple effect will permeate through the school and affect all the people here who have similar aspirations, be it in music or any other extracurricular activity. Cutting these kinds of activities is not the right decision. Experience gives you the necessary edge to succeed in the field. Going a year without a sport or a band program would make you lose that edge. Those who mentor those activities would have to search for a new employer. Students won't have any motivation for school/academics if they aren't doing anything they'd like to at any point throughout the school day. On top of maintaining these opportunities, things will be built upon them to help improve that edge we maintain. There has been talk on construction of a bigger school with funds made from a passing levy. This will give more space and a better reputation, drawing in more students and support along with it. Parts of the building requiring repair would get the needed maintenance. Leaks could get fixed instead of being left alone for a bucket to hold the leak's contents. On top of all this, more money leads to better equipment overall. This could help all departments, be it a class or a sport. Sport teams can afford new equipment. New technology can be employed. Instruments can be repaired or purchased. Being unsupportive would be regrettable for all those who don't get the same opportunity as those who come before them. Being a part of these things is very important to me. For me, it's been an opportunity to take leadership and show what I can do. It's a great chance to work with others. I can easily say that I wouldn't know half the people I do now if it weren't for our band program. Being in jazz band gave me the opportunity to experience the challenge I needed to take music to the next level in a relaxed setting. OMEA competitions showed me that there are others out there with similar opportunities that those of Brooklyn High School may not get to experience again without the supportive music department. I'd be disappointed to see those who come after me lose out on such a place to be. It's one of the few things in school I enjoy putting forth the effort in. Thank you for your time, and please show support for our levy.
Does anyone else have anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn?
Ryan Kelber, 9200 Bidoff Avenue. First off, before I give my speech, I just want to say those 4 students that came up here, that's what makes me enjoy going to work each and every day. And that's the future of Brooklyn right there. And that's why I'm proud to say I'm a resident of Brooklyn. I'm speaking here tonight as both athletic director for Brooklyn City Schools and as a resident for the last 32 years. I'd like to begin speaking from the perspective of athletic director. This past year, Brooklyn City Schools has offered 10 sports for grades 7 through 12. In 3 seasons, we have had over 250 participants. Student athletes have performed academically better than non-student athletes. Just this past winter, we have had over 50 students with over a 3.0 GPA or better. Athletic participation also serves as a positive outlet for students after the school day is ended. Participation in interscholastic athletics builds character, teaches life lessons, teamwork, and responsibility. Failure of this upcoming levy and bond issue will eliminate the opportunities to gain these memorable experiences and life lessons. As a resident, I also fear the effects that this failure of this levy and bond issue will have. I have always been under the impression that Brooklyn will be the city in which I would raise my family. However, the failure of this levy and bond issue will drastically weaken the supports within our school system. We all know schools are the heart of the city and to which people look at when moving to a new area. Without a strong school system, Brooklyn means nothing. I remember growing up in Brooklyn and thinking this is one of the best cities to live in. We are far from that right now. With property values and city services decreasing, Brooklyn is becoming far from the city it once was. Our schools need to be the foundation for the city to get back on track and become the city it once was. This can only happen with support of each and every one of you on City Council. I hope you can help put Brooklyn back on the map. Thank you.
My name is Lynn Whelan. I'm at 4201 Doncliff Drive in Brooklyn. And I've just recently became more involved in my community since I retired. And I don't know everything about the levy. I just know that an awful lot of my taxes go to the schools. And I know that schools are extremely important all the way around. But I guess I would just like to say a few words about the schools and that not all the problems rest right here. I applaud the kids that took the time to sit down and write and to tell us what school means to them. And you're right, scholarships depend on a lot of the extracurricular activities that go on. And school is extremely expensive. I paid my own way twice through school, and I know it's even worse now. But this problem is not solely a local problem. I encourage you all to get involved in the state budget process that's going on right now, because a lot of the problems that we're struggling with right now are due to state cuts, and huge state cuts. I think we took almost $1 million hit from the last state budget in Brooklyn alone. Parma took a $5 million hit. Lakewood took a $4 million hit. Euclid took a $5 million hit. Our governor was very right in that he did balance the budget and had a huge deficit. But what he did by balancing it and not raising taxes was to push it down to the local level. And I'm sure your superintendent would tell you that in a minute. So we have more work to be done. It's not just locally that we have to step up to the plate and help out our schools and our local governments, but it's also at the state level that we need to be heard as well, because they have a role in this as well in paying for the education of our children. So be willing to take that trip down 71 and let your legislators know how you feel as well.
Does anyone else have anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn? Okay, we'll move on. We now have reports of committees, commissions, and boards, and I will begin with the Finance Committee. First of all, I'm going to also use this time to give a report on our work session that we had February 25th after the council meeting. We heard a presentation from Johnson Controls and the Sustainability Advisory Committee relating to potential energy savings through House Bill 300 performance contract. I'd like to thank Mr. Tansky and the other members of the committee for their efforts. We currently are in a performance contract for energy saving improvements that were completed at the rec center and the natatorium. So there are some questions of how we would be able to enter into another such agreement. I know our finance director and Mrs. McGinty and Mr. Verba are compiling the current information on our agreement with Brewer Garrett, and they will report back to council on the status of that agreement, just so everyone knows that. Last Monday evening, we had a work session for the permanent budget. We started about 6 o'clock and we were here till 11 p.m. And first, I would again like to thank our finance director, Ms. Ezere, for her efforts. This is a tremendous, there's a tremendous amount of planning and preparation for this process and volumes of information that she has to compile for us. Next, I'd like to thank all of our directors and department heads for their efforts. They work on developing their budget requests for the year and provide detailed explanations to us. Finally, I'd like to thank my colleagues on council. There's a lot of information to review and discuss. It was a very long evening, but I believe the process went very well this year. We all had an open mind, and we were willing to listen to the differing opinions. At the end of the process, we did reach a consensus on how to proceed. Every department makes a case for their needs. However, because we don't have unlimited funds, it comes down to what council is going to approve and how we're going to pay for them. So our permanent budget this evening is on our agenda for ordinance 2013-8, which will be on first reading this evening. The general fund budget is $15,733,541, and for the capital improvement fund, it's $4,523,896. That does include $1.6 million, which is our city's portion of the reconstruction of Ridge Road. We will issue a bond anticipation note this year for approximately $1.375 million with a plan to pay it down in 5 years. This will pay for the roof at City Hall, the 2013 Streets Program, and the west parking lot at the Senior Center, which is in dire need of repair. If anyone would like further details, this is a public record. They can contact City Hall. And from our Finance Committee meeting this evening, we met at 6:30. We voted to recommend authorizing the fire department to trade in a piece of equipment, and we authorized the mayor to enter into an annual agreement with our juvenile diversion coordinator. We also authorized the mayor to enter into 2 agreements with civil and environmental consultants to provide services for our sanitary landfill in an amount not to exceed $15,840. We recommended first reading on our annual appropriations ordinance, and we recommended authorization for the purchase of 2 plows and hitches for the service department. That completes the Finance Committee report. Next, we'll move on to the Recreation Board, which is Mr. Tansky.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. City of Brooklyn Youth Baseball, in conjunction with Up to Bat, has begun registration for T-ball and baseball for boys and girls. The registration deadline is April 6th. All participants must bring a copy of birth certificate at time of registration. All residents, including St. Thomas More, to Heritage Christian participants, must have current Brooklyn resident ID card at time of registration to receive reduced rates, no exceptions. The fees are residents $40, school rate, attend school in Brooklyn $50, non-residents $60, 3 and 4-year-old T-ball $35. Fee includes shirt, hat, and award at the end of session. A $15 late fee may be applied to any registration accepted after the deadline. The next Recreation Board meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 18, 2013, at 6:30 p.m. in the Mayor's Court. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Board of Zoning Code Appeals will meet at its next regular meeting, March 21st, 2013. There'll be one item on the docket, which will be under old business. The owner at 4729 Fairway will be requesting a second variance to install a 6-foot-high privacy fence. The additional request would to place the fence at the rear property line instead of 18 inches away from the neighbor's rear property line and existing fence. That'll conclude my report.
Thank you. Next is the Planning Commission, Councilwoman Katie Gallagher.
Thank you. The Planning Commission met March 7th at 6 p.m. and approved a request from Sign Vision Company to install a 151-square-foot channel letter sign on the building face for TJ Maxx located at 4794 Ridge Road, and also approved a request from Cleveland Bible Baptist Church for an 8-parcel lot consolidation located at 4431 Tiedemann Road, on the condition of the resubmittal and approval of the recommendations made by C.W. Courtney and Associates. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. And I was just handed a note that I misspoke. The parking lot that we're going to do is the west end of the rec center. I apparently mistakenly said senior center, but it's the rec center. Okay, next we'll move on to reports of council, and this evening we begin with Mr. Van Kirk.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci, and thank you all so much for being here tonight. It's encouraging to see so many folks out to support a cause they're passionate about. I'd like to thank all the speakers, especially the young people that came up and spoke very passionately about your concerns for the Brooklyn City Schools. We obviously have a very important decision to make here on May 7th, and I do hope that all the residents will get all the information and consider it very strongly and before they make their vote. I would also like to echo Mrs. Pucci's sentiment about the budget session. It was a long evening, but I especially want to thank our finance director for doing such a wonderful job preparing us. And the budget meeting I thought went very, very well. Everyone approached it with an open mind, and I think we have a very good budget laid out for this upcoming year. There's just a couple of concerns, and we talked about them in the budget meeting, and I hope that we can kind of reiterate them. That's the fact of course, scaling back expenses as the uncertainty of American Greetings leaving and things like that. I hope we continue to roll forward with that. And also in terms of economic development, to continue pushing forward with trying to find a marketing director or someone to help us out to draw new businesses into Brooklyn. And thank you once again all for being here. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mrs. Colleen Gallagher?
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. Good evening, everyone. On Friday, March 15th at 7:00 p.m., the Brooklyn Democratic Club invites all residents of the city of Brooklyn to hear our guest speaker, Superintendent Cynthia Walker, who will speak on the combined operating levy bond issue on the May 7th ballot. Mrs. Walker will explain the district's financial crisis as indicated in the district 5-year forecast. The schools are facing serious cuts, and you as residents need to get informed. Our district needs our help, and Mrs. Walker, I will be endorsing the levy. Congratulations to Kevin Pucci for winning the state finals for the St. Ignatius debate team. Mayor, can we honor Kevin with a proclamation at next meeting, please? Yes. Thank you. And last Monday, council directors and the mayor met to discuss the budget. All parties had an open mind with a willingness to work together. The meeting turned out to be very productive. The ending general fund balance for 2012 was $6,022,706.20. This is over $1.7 million more than the original estimated amount of $4.2 million. The difference is largely because American Greetings has not exited and the city's departments came in $470,000 under budget. Make no mistake about it, we will continue to be faced with economic challenges as a municipality. Our city needs to strengthen our relationship with our local businesses. However, we must not remain complacent about our future economic growth opportunities. We as elected officials should be building a stronger relationship not only with our businesses, but our schools as well. We need to find a common goal for all of us to succeed and prosper as a community. I'd like to offer my sincere thanks to our Finance Director, Jenny Ezere, for your hard work, not just on the budget, but what you do each and every day. So thank you. And next to the mayor, directors, and staff for the service they provide to our residents. And finally, to all the men and women who honorably serve on our fire and police departments. Thank you for your daily commitment to protect and serve. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mrs. Katie Gallagher?
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Verba, I was wondering if you've heard back from ODOT on the sound barrier application yet?
No, I haven't.
Nothing? Okay. Could you give us an update as soon as you hear anything?
Sure.
Thank you. Chief Zemek, I also had a complaint from a resident about the waterway behind Key Bank, that it was a neon green color. While he was passing by a couple weeks ago, he said that he's seen it like this before, and he put a complaint into the fire department. And I was just wondering if you knew what this was caused by.
We suspect out of the Cleveland border that some coolant antifreeze was leaked into that sewer system, which made it to the waterway. The product was examined, and it did come back as having antifreeze properties in it.
And this was more than one time?
I only know about the one time he called us.
Okay.
I didn't know there was another time, so if it's a reoccurring issue, I would hope that he would at least call my office. We
Okay.
can maybe zero in on who's doing it then.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Essery, we talked about at the budget meeting the possibility of increasing the capital budget percentage amount. I was wondering if there's a number you're comfortable with.
I apologize, my voice. That's okay. You know, right now, I would say that I'm comfortable with the percentage as it is. I think until we know how much American Greetings, you know, when they're going to pull out, I think we need to build up as much in the general fund as we possibly can to cover the operating expenses, because we wouldn't be able to get a loan for that.
Okay.
Okay. And again, I'm sorry, my voice.
Sorry to do that to you. And lastly, I'd like to thank the mayor, our finance director, all the directors, and the council members for working together to come to an agreement on the city budget. Last year was kind of difficult, so it was nice to all come together. And thank you to all the students that spoke tonight. I know it's not easy to come up here, but it means a lot to hear from you. Thanks, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Tansky?
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. Good evening. I'm very happy we have a full room of Brooklyn residents, especially the youths. What I'm about to read is very important to the youths in this city to get employment for the summer months right here in Brooklyn. I'd like to start out by saying that Youth Opportunities has contacted me once again for part-time summer jobs in the city of Brooklyn. This is a great opportunity for the youths in our area to work on a part-time basis for the city of Brooklyn, especially at the rec center. The city of Brooklyn will enjoy some relief in getting the wages of part-timers paid for by Youth Opportunities for a certain period of time. I've had numerous conversations with this network, and there will be summer jobs in Brooklyn. I do not have a number on how many jobs will be filled at this time. If there are any youths who are interested in the program, they need to register online at www.youthopportunities.org to be eligible. Registration has already begun, and the last day to register is Friday, March 29th, 2013 at noon. The following information is needed to complete the registration: Social Security number, email address, emergency contact information. Only one registration will be accepted for each youth. The number of summer jobs is limited and many youths are registering. So registering for a job does not guarantee that you'll be selected. We will email or call you if you've been selected to continue in the process to apply for a position. If you are selected to apply for a job, you will need to bring the following documents: copy of proof of current residency, copy of Social Security card, not a letter from Social Security, copy of birth certificate, copy of current picture ID from a school or government entity. Also, you may be asked to provide family income information. Please start now to get these documents in order. Don't wait till you are called. There are informational flyers available at the rec center for those who are interested. I've also posted these flyers for these jobs in the library, and I encourage every youth in Brooklyn to get on this website and sign up. We're trying to get as many youths from Brooklyn to work in this city, so we don't have to go to the outside and get other residents from other cities. So I don't know how many jobs it's going to amount up to, but I'm pushing for as many as I can. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy?
Thank you. I do want to thank the students who spoke. Being involved is important. You're obviously involved. And I'm sure the school, its board, and many residents were impressed with your presentations and appreciate your feedback. I would like to support Mr. Tansky's work and on getting youth jobs for the summer. If maybe, Kevin, we could get something up to the high school where the kids are. Maybe we can get 50. Yeah. I'm for as many as we can get. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeMarco?
Thank you. Actually wasn't going to say much this evening, and with the folks that come up, I just thought I had to say a few things. I am a proud graduate of Brooklyn High School, and also was involved in many extracurricular activities, including the band. And I want to, thank everybody for coming up, both the students and some of the other residents as well. I'm not here really to tell you how to vote. I know it's a very personal decision for every resident, but what I will say is, one, as is indicated, I am very supportive of this levy. We can argue back and forth about the size of the levy and those other things, but what our community is facing, many communities across the county and across the state are facing very similar issues. So it's a very simple question everyone has to ask themselves is, how much do they value an independent public school system? And if you value that for your community, then you should be supportive of the levy. If you don't, then obviously you have the choice and the voting booth to not support the levy. But I would encourage everybody, a lot of times what happens with these levy issues, especially in a small town like Brooklyn, is a lot of misinformation gets passed along, and by the time it gets to the third person, it's probably not very correct at all. So I would suggest if you've heard something that doesn't make sense or you just have some questions, please contact the superintendent. Please contact Marty Farian, any member of the school board. It would be very foolish to not have all the information before you make an extremely important decision on the future of our school system and frankly the future of our city. So again, I would like to thank everybody for coming this evening, and I would encourage those residents to come back for future meetings. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I've spoken before about my concern about the number of our young people who have died from drug-related cases. And last year I spoke with Mrs. Walker about a joint community awareness night in the city of Brooklyn. So we have a date and time for the Brooklyn Awareness Night. It's Wednesday, May 1st, and it'll be at 6:30 p.m. in the high school auditorium. There will be more information as this gets publicized and posted on the websites, but I'd like to encourage everyone to please attend this very important event. And I'd like to thank Lori Babinchek, the Director of Pupil Services, for coordinating this. I, too, would like to thank all of our speakers this evening, especially the young people. You all really did an outstanding job, and our entire community is proud of how you represented yourselves, your family, and your school community here this evening. I, too, am in support of the levy, and I would encourage other residents to please support this important issue. Through no fault of the schools, the revenue is declining. We knew that this day was coming because of the 5-year forecast that the schools are required to file. I think it's here just a little bit sooner than anticipated because of some large businesses getting reductions in their property values, and also the collection rate for property taxes being dropped. A strong school system is vital to the city of Brooklyn being a strong community, and I think we have an obligation as a community to provide public education for our young people. There's a saying that an educated population is vital to the functioning of a democracy. And these young people, they are our future, and we need to do our part. I would encourage everyone, if there's any questions or concerns about any aspect of this, please get your questions answered directly, either from the superintendent, the treasurer, or a school board member. And I do believe, is there a lit drop this Saturday? Okay, there's going to be a lit drop at what time, and where do people meet?
8:30 a.m. in the auditorium, and we'll do it until we're done.
Okay, so at 8:30 a.m. this Saturday, March 16th, in the high school auditorium, volunteers will meet and do a lit drop. I think it's a door hanger that'll just be put on people's doors. And that completes my report, and next we'll move on to the mayor's report. Mayor Balbier.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. I also was going to mention the awareness night. I met with Lori Babinchek. I see her out there in the audience. And she said it's going to be a panel discussion. A Brooklyn family will tell their story. The Brooklyn Police Department will be there, a county prosecutor, and a recovery story from a family in Brooklyn. So if you're interested, I'm sure Lori would be more than happy to answer your questions. And that'll be on May 1st, like Mrs. Pucci said, at 6:30 at the Brooklyn High School Auditorium. I also like to give a little synopsis each year on the annual reports from my different departments. And tonight, the police department turned in their report for 2012, and I'll just give you a few statistics. The Brooklyn jail handled 1,244 prisoners. That's 5.6% more than the year before. They filed on 91 juveniles. The DARE program covered 120 students at the middle school. They received police calls. They had 26,748 calls to the police department. They made 668 misdemeanor arrests, 97 felony arrests, and they handled 503 traffic accidents. I don't know, it seems like a lot of accidents to me for a little city, but that's what they turned in. Well, the service department turned in their annual report, and they picked up 3,229 tons of solid waste, 661 tons of recyclables, and that brought in a total of $13,969. And they handled 1,203 tons of compost material. The fire department for last month had 45 fire runs and 122 rescue runs. I attended the grand opening of Walmart Superstore on Wednesday, February 27th. A couple days later, we had the opening of the U.S. Bank that's in Walmart. And on February 28th, I met with 30 different mayors. We met downtown at Cleveland City Hall. We had a press conference voicing our objection to this House Bill 5. That's the one where the state wants to get their fingers into the municipal income tax, and I think that's a bad, bad move. I'm on the executive committee of the Inner Ring suburbs. There's 19 suburbs. We met this morning, and we're going to hire a lobbyist to go down to Columbus and speak up for us, because I don't want to see the state getting their fingers in this. Each city, we depend, like I think 70 or 75% of our money comes from city income tax. We don't want anybody messing with that. The senior center will hold a pasta dinner made by Aldo's, and everybody knows how good Aldo's is. And that'll be on April 28th, and it'll be $4 for children under 6 and $8 for seniors. There'll be a spring Easter egg hunt Saturday, March 23rd at 11 a.m. Registration begins at 10:30 a.m. at the Brooklyn Senior Center. Resident children under the age of 6, rain or shine, they should bring a basket to collect their eggs. This is sponsored by the City of Brooklyn. And if you need any further information, please call 261-351-5334. Now about the school levy. Schools mean everything to you. I remember last year I pulled up to the traffic light at West 98th and Elmira. I went to Elmira Elementary School from kindergarten through the 6th grade. I looked over and there was a vacant lot. I thought somebody ripped my heart out. I sat there for 2 light changes. Fortunately, there was nobody behind me. What happened to my school? You know, and you feel this in you. The same thing with the high school, with the Brooklyn City Schools. I graduated from Brooklyn High School. I figured up the other day, in my family, 14 of us have graduated from Brooklyn High School. My wife, my 3 daughters, my brother-in-laws, my son-in-laws. I mean, we've all graduated from Brooklyn High School. And all 3 of my daughters were in the marching band. A couple of them were cheerleaders, and I remember at halftime we'd have to race in there and change out of their, get in their uniform, run back out there. And I remember I didn't have the money to buy an instrument, so when we bought their clarinets, I would go up to a little music store on Fulton Road every month, and I'd give the man $10. It took me a year and a half to buy the clarinet, but I know exactly where you're coming from. And I want to give credit to every kid that got up here and spoke, every student. When I was your age, I could never do that. I refused to get up in front of a classroom and talk. I would take an F rather than get in front of a. Now you can't stop me from talking. But back then, it takes a lot of guts to get up and talk in public. So I give you all credit. But I'm behind it 100%. The problem is there are a lot of people that can't afford this. And every time we have an election, I'll get a half a dozen phone calls from usually widows, and they're almost in tears telling me, you know, Mayor, I know the school needs this, but if I vote for this, I won't be able to buy my medicine. Well, if you're in that position, then it's a no-brainer. You don't vote for it. But if you can afford it, we could have the best-run city in the state of Ohio. It doesn't mean anything if your school system's down the toilet. You got to have both of them to make a good city. So I urge everyone to support this bond issue, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we'll move on to director's reports, and we'll begin with Chief Zemek.
Thank you, Mr. Pucci. In the past 17 months, we've had 2 fatalities due to home fires in this town, and I've been told by the mayor that these are the only 2 that he ever remembers. Back in June of 2011, we, with council's approval, we passed a legislation that requires photoelectric detectors to be placed in every resident and every business. Those detectors that are existing, the people have 10 years to replace them with the photoelectric type. Just a short explanation, what's the difference between the photoelectric and the old ionization chambered detectors. Photoelectrics recognize any change within lighting. So they recognize the early incinerary of a fire. You get anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes earlier warning. Channel 5 did a special a week or two ago, if anybody saw that. And they proved, tested, the photoelectrics give you the advance warning, like I said, and anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, which is a long time then to get out of your home. They don't send off false alarms. When they go off, there is something going on. So your cooking cannot cause a photoelectric detector to go off. So there's less false alarms, thus there's less tampering with that detector, less taking the battery out and forgetting to put it back in when you're done frying your bacon in the morning. So I stress, and I really am pleading with our residents to check their detectors, make sure they're working, have at least one detector on every floor of your home. And as you replace them, the photoelectric style detector is no more expensive than the ionization detector. The way you can tell the difference is if you have a little design on a box when you go to buy your detector that has a radioactive sign, that's not the photoelectric. That's the other kind. So that's kind of how you can tell the difference. But again, I stress, both these residents had non-working detectors. I don't know about the last fire Friday. The one detector was melted, but the other detector within a resident was not working. It was all intact. Very old looking, was not functioning. So please, this is meant to get you and your family out of that structure, so we don't have to have another fatal fire in this town again. And so that's it. If anybody has any questions, please, you can feel free to call my office. I can send you out all the information on the different style detectors and stuff through the study that I participated in years ago. Thank you.
Okay, and I think it's a good time to remind people to change their batteries since we just changed the clocks.
Yes.
It's in general a good time to change the batteries in your smoke detector and CO detectors.
Yeah, most of your new ones, I'm sorry, Council President, most of your new detectors, if you bought them within the last 2 years, the batteries are good for 10 years, but I would still check the operations of that detector.
Okay, and next we have Mr. Fitzgerald, the Building Department.
Thank you. The annual meeting of the Community Reinvestment Council and the Community Reinvestment Housing Council has been scheduled for Wednesday, March 20th, 2013 at 6 p.m. in the conference room here at City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have a request for trade-in authorization. This is a letter from the fire chief. I would like the council and the mayor's permission to utilize a trade-in allowance offer towards the purchase of a new hydraulic rescue cutter. The present cutter is broken. This cutter is used for evolutions in rescues and firefighting operations. The trade-in will save the city $800. So we need an approval for the trade-in.
Move to approve the trade-in?
Second.
To approve, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay, next we have ordinance 2013-5, which will be passing by emergency measure this evening, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the juvenile diversion coordinator. And Chief, thank you very much for obtaining all that information. And just so you're aware, in the Finance Committee meeting this evening, we'd like a quarterly report. We kind of did a compromise between the annual and the monthly report. But if our coordinator could submit a quarterly report, that would be great. So we need a motion to suspend the rules.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay, next we have ordinance 2013-7, authorizing the mayor to enter into agreements with Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated, CEC Inc., to provide services for the sanitary landfill in an amount not to exceed $15,840. And we're going to pass this by emergency measure this evening also.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules?
Second.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2013-8, the annual appropriations ordinance to make appropriations for current and other expenditures of the City of Brooklyn, State of Ohio for the period January 1st, 2013 to December 31st, 2013, and this is on first reading. Next, we have ordinance 2013-9, authorizing the purchase of 2 plows and hitches from Glend Hill Road Machinery for $23,424.70. And we're going to pass this by emergency this evening.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules?
Second.
To suspend the rules, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to acknowledge that on my way coming into the meeting this evening, I was handed a stack of letters that are addressed to the mayor and city council members in support of the school levy. So I'm going to turn these over to Mary Jo, so if anybody's interested, these are all signed by residents. And is there anything else that the mayor or any other council member would like to say prior to adjourning? Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
To adjourn, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher. Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.